Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Mindy, and I am on a mission to lose 200 pounds. And this is what I eat in a day as someone who is absolutely sick and tired of obsessing over every single piece of food that I put into my mouth. If you missed last week's video, that will give you a little more insight into that rant. It's been a while since we've done a what I eat in a day video. I just figured I'd take you through some meal prep that I'm gonna do today. It's Sunday. Gonna do a couple of things to make my week a little easier. And I figure the more healthy choices I make today, the fewer opportunities I have to make unhealthy choices throughout the week. So let's make some healthy choices, shall we? Let's do it. Let's get physical. All right, I got my ingredients gathered. Milk, smell your dairy. I noticed that when I get these from Aldi, they go bad faster than the expiration date says. I learned that the hard way the other day when I poured chunks into something and it still had 3 weeks before the expiration dates. Take with that what you will. We're gonna use some chia seeds, vanilla Greek yogurt. I'm using the Oikos 000. I'm gonna use some vanilla. I have imitation because I've had this in my pantry forever and I need to get rid of it. And then some sweetener of choice. I'm just gonna use some Sweet and Low because it's quick and it's easy and I don't have to think about it. I am going to use a scale. If you don't have a scale, don't use one. What am I doing? Why did I just turn around? The ADHD, she strikes again. Oh, I need a container. I am going to blend mine. You do not have to do this. You can just mix it together. You can do it in the individual containers if you want to, but to make my life easier, because I don't have a ton of fridge space, I'm gonna make it all in here. I'm gonna weigh the container beforehand, weigh it afterwards, divide that by 5 servings, write it on a piece of tape on the lid. Makes my life easier when it comes time to serve out breakfast in the morning. 45.1 grams. Sure, I'm gonna write that down because otherwise I won't remember. I will tag this recipe down in the comments, but I'm gonna double the recipe for 5 servings. So this needs a half a cup of milk. When I've made these recipes in the past, I've felt like they weren't thick enough, so I prefer adding more yogurt than what the recipes call for. So 3 times the amount of yogurt, but 2 times everything else. I don't know if that makes sense. So 283 grams of yogurt. I'm the only one eating it, calm down. A 1/4 cup of chia, which would be 48 grams. I'm putting the milk in last because I don't want the chia to get all clogged up in my immersion blender. Words are hard. 12 times 4 is 48, yes. Just double checking my math. Chia. I tried doing this in my high-speed blender last week, but it just, anytime I do anything chunky, I feel like I lose half of it in the blender. So I'm just gonna use the immersion blender. Look, oh! It's fine, I'm fine, it's fine. Add in the milk, the vanilla. Look, I don't measure vanilla, just pour it till your ancestors scream at you to stop. Always add a little salt to your sweet things. It brings out the sweetness. Also, minerals are good for you. And then I'm gonna start with 1 packet of this because this stuff is real strong. Use whatever sweetener you like. Oh, lovely. You guys have that in your face. Now we blend. I'm gonna call that good. It's already starting to thicken up. Again, blending is optional. It just kind of helps with that chia texture, like if you're not a fan of it. I don't mind it. It kind of reminds me of tapioca. It does help to get all the ingredients distributed more evenly. I do want to give this a taste for sweetness. I mean, the vanilla pudding is already, the vanilla yogurt is already a little sweet, and I am gonna be eating it with fruit, which will add a little more sweetness. Yeah, that's real good. I'm not mad at that at all. I still need to do the after weight, 505.9. So we will take 505.9 minus the 45.3 and then divide that whole thing by 5, which with the magic of television is numbers. It's gonna be about 90 grams-ish, which is a little bit less than the amount of yogurt that I usually have. I usually do about 100 to 120 grams, but Chia is a lot more calorie heavy. She ain't heavy, she my brother. So I'm gonna put this lid on. I'm gonna grab a piece of tape, put that piece of tape on the lid. I'm just gonna write 90 grams. That way, in the morning, when it's time to make breakfast, I don't have to pull out a tracking app. I don't have to pull out a piece of paper. I don't have to, it's right there. And then I'll just weigh it into my bowl. Meal prep item 1, done. 10 to 15 minutes, but it would have taken way less if I wasn't filming. Now I'm just gonna cut up some mango real quick so that I have that done. I have an interested third party. He loves mango. I saved the skins for him throughout the week. He eats them. Okay, fine, your mama's a sucker. Now I'm gonna put together a cucumber and tomato salad. I'm not really using a recipe for this. I mean, it's cucumber and tomatoes and red onions pretty much. And then you can do whatever kind of dressing you want. I happen to have some of this Tuscan House Italian in my fridge from doing chicken marinades, and I love that dressing. But I thought to myself, this is almost like a caprese salad, but with cucumber, and caprese salad always has fresh mozzarella. Didn't want to do fresh mozzarella, but maybe some cottage cheese. It might be weird, I don't know. We'll find out. It's just food, whatever. I'm gonna be using red onion in this, but I'm also gonna be using red onion for my sandwiches this week. So prep things once, use them multiple times. It'll save me time later. You tell I'm flying by the seat of my pants this week? Because that's kind of what's happening. You can't have onions, buddy. I know you think you should be able to eat everything. To keep the pieces from getting too large, I'm gonna cut it in half, but keep the root intact. Be careful with a mandolin. You always use your hand guard. Do as I say, not as I do. I've used these things a majillion times. Now watch me cut myself. That's close enough. I'm not interested in losing skin over a 1/16 of an inch of an onion. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like the spicy bite of an onion, you can soak these in cold like ice water for about like 5 minutes and it will take some of that bite off. I happen to like that bite, so I'm not gonna bother. And I'm gonna put the majority of this in my salads. I have some grape tomatoes left from last week that I didn't finish, so I'm gonna have these up and throw them in there. I'm aware there are tricks to make this faster. I just don't care right now. You can use like 2 deli lids and put them in between and just like cut straight across. I have a tool that actually does this for me, but I don't want to wash it. H-E-B had these gorgeous Roma tomatoes that look so good. I have them for my sandwiches for this week, but I don't need all of these. I'm gonna leave these in bigger chunks because the salad's gonna sit a while and I don't want everything to get mushy. But I do still need to be able to fit it in my mouth. I do have a big mouth though. This is now a tomato salad. And then we're gonna do a whole English cucumber. There's a quick and easy way to peel these suckers. And that's by cutting through the plastic. I'm gonna cut it in half. And then I'm gonna cut each half in half long ways. And then the plastic just comes off. I see people trying to take these off like a sock. Don't do that, you'll be there for 50 million years. If you're not planning on using the whole thing in one go, just cut off the section that you want to use and leave the rest in the plastic and it'll stay better longer. Cut these down into fourths. Leave them in good sized chunks because I don't want them to get too soggy. Hi, buddy. Here you go. It has good crunch. I'm also gonna put some fresh basil in this because look at what I did. I needed basil for a recipe last week and it was cheaper to buy the whole plant than it was to buy a thing of basil, and it's still alive. It's even growing a little. So I'm gonna use some fresh basil in here. You could just do Italian seasoning if you don't have fresh herbs, but fresh herbs are quite delicious. And then of course, some of the Italian dressing, you could just do oil and vinegar if you want, no oil, all vinegar. And then when I eat this, I'm just gonna drizzle it with a little bit of balsamic glaze, which I think will be delicious. This is my first time trying the Good Culture. Everybody sings its praises like it's the second coming. Oh, that is very small curd. I'm gonna splash in some House Italian. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to pinch this off so that I'm making the plant grow better. Help a sister out in the comments, please. I think I'm supposed to leave the bunchy parts because that's where the new growth is happening. A gardener, I am not, my friends. Oh, it smells so good. I'm gonna water this and put it back outside. Oh, I need to add the basil. That's right, that's the thing I was gonna do. I remember now. I realized that was terrible technique as far as cutting up that basil. Do I look like I care? I don't right now. Okay, put that in there. And I think that was just the right amount of tomato. I just think it's way too much salad in general. All right, let me give it a taste. Who am I fooling? I'm not using the fork. Could use a little more of that and salt and pepper for sure. The salt grinder, it always looks like it's so much more than it is. It's very fine grind, so. Very fresh and happy. I'm probably still gonna want more salt later, but I'm gonna leave it for now. And I'm done. Oh, I'm gonna wash some lettuce for my sandwiches, but that's it. That's all that I'm doing for food prep today because it's almost 10 o'clock and I'm over it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, y'all. I have all the layers on because this morning Texas woke up and chose violence. It was 37 degrees today. 37. So I had every layer on this morning. I have flannel leggings, sweatpants, super thick wool socks. I had this undershirt, another sweater, and another hoodie on to go outside. Anyway, let's try this. It did get very, very thick. So I had to add like a tablespoon or so of milk. And we're trying out the new granola that I got from Aldi last week, the oats and honey Millville one. It's a high protein granola. Normally I eat the Nature's Path coconut cashew butter granola. Anyway, it's so delicious, but the macros on this are better and it's about half the price. So we're gonna see how it goes. I think blending the chia increased the thickness. So just so you know, you're probably gonna have to add a little bit of extra liquid if you do that. I think it also would have been really good with coconut milk instead of regular milk, but I like the high protein milk. So, you know, here we go. Let's bone apple teeth and see how this is. It's quite tasty. My mango's not super sweet, which is sad, but it is off season for mangoes, so I guess I can't be that surprised. You can see how thick that is. I like the granola. It's quite crunchy. That's very tasty and an easy way to get in an extra 6 grams of fiber. I'm gonna eat the rest of my breakfast. I forgot to mention what was in here. I eat this, I drink this every morning. This is just a scoop of Pure Kiwi Strawberry Electrolytes. It's a high potassium electrolyte, helps me with my constipation. And then also a scoop of unflavored creatine monohydrate. I'll link the things that I use down in the places, you guys know. Anyway, but I drink this every morning. I don't track the calories in this, guys. In fact, I'm not tracking calories right now at all. We're still just trying to get it together, guys. I'll see you guys later for dinner prep in the crock pot and lunch and all the things. Forgive the setup. I know you can see all the things. I am getting ready to go to work, but I want to throw this in the crock pot. This recipe, I'm just going to warn you, I'm going to link the recipe below, but it is definitely inspiration. I'm not following the recipe at all. The recipe is for a creamy orzo sausage bake. So it's meant to bake in the oven, and I don't get off work until 5:30. So if I wait to bake something that's gonna take 45 minutes to an hour, I'm gonna be eating at like 7 o'clock, and that's not a thing for me. So instead, I'm going to be throwing it in my crock pot so that it can, I have that preheating and it's hot, so that it can be ready for me to eat within like 10 or 15 minutes when I get home. Also, again, trying to work on increasing my protein intake, or not my protein intake, my fiber intake. So in that vein, we're trying to introduce more whole grains and things like that. So instead of orzo, I'm gonna be using farro, which is an Italian whole grain. And it looks like this. It's a grain, like bulgur or barley, something like that. But they're nice and chewy, and yeah, apparently you can cook them in the crock pot. So I'm gonna start this by putting a little bit of oil, maybe a tablespoon or so. And we're gonna toast this like rice. So it'll work kind of like a pilaf, but I've heard that this is a good way to get more flavor. The recipe called for using zucchini, and I'm just not a big fan of zucchini when it's cooked in things. It has a texture, it's very slimy and yucky, and I don't like it. Instead of using zucchini, we're gonna use mushrooms, and I'm also gonna use onions in here. I'm gonna let this farro toast a little bit. Smells good. I'm just gonna go by my nose, and my nose says that they smell toasty, so I'm gonna start throwing in the veggies. I'm gonna start with one very small yellow onion that I diced up. And then I'm gonna throw in an 8-ounce container of mushrooms that I quartered. No, I didn't. I sliced them in half and then sliced them. Swear I just saw a Helios hair. About a ½ teaspoon of salt, and then about a ¼ teaspoon of pepper. And then the recipe calls for a teaspoon each of dried basil and oregano. I'm not gonna use quite that much. Here's oregano. I always use about half the amount of oregano as a recipe calls for, because it's a little strong for me. You could just use Italian seasoning. It would work just fine. The recipe calls for chicken broth, but I don't use chicken broth. I use Better Than Bouillon and water. So it's 2½ cups worth. So that's 2½ teaspoons worth, or a little less than a tablespoon. But I ain't afraid of flavor, so. We're also gonna add in some garlic. Let that get a little fragrant. This is just 2 packages of that tomato basil chicken sausage from Aldi that I got last week. So 24 ounces of sausage, which is, again, I swear I just saw another Helios hair, which is a little bit more protein than the recipe called for, but you know how we do with the protein around here. And then the recipe calls for sun-dried tomatoes. I like the flavor of sun-dried tomatoes. I hate the texture of sun-dried tomatoes. So anytime a recipe calls for sun-dried tomato, I just get sun-dried tomato pesto and I use that instead. So a couple tablespoons of that. Very nice, very nice. Scrape up the goodness from the bottom of the pan. The recipe calls for Boursin cheese. Ain't nobody got the budget for that. Last week I went to Aldi and they had chive and onion cream cheese on sale. So that's what I'm using instead. I'm gonna use the whole thing, even though the recipe just calls for the 5.3 ounce thing of Boursin. What am I gonna do with 3 ounces of cream cheese just hanging out in my fridge? I like to add it in now because it's easier for me to break it down and have it get all nice and creamy in the heat of the pan when there's not a ton of other liquid already in there. Smear it around and get it broken up to where it's nice and creamy. Now we don't have to worry about biting into a chunk of cream cheese. Now I'm gonna add all my liquid. This would be 2.5 cups of chicken broth, but I use water and the Better Than Bouillon, which is already in there. If you wanted to bump up the protein and save on some calories, you could use Laughing Cow or the Aldi brand of Laughing Cow. But again, that would be a lot more expensive. And I'm just trying to keep things within a budget. And then I'm doing 2 cups of high protein milk. This is 2%. High protein milk is already has a lot of the water removed from it. So it's a lot thicker and creamier than regular milk. I'm gonna cover this up and put it on low for about 4 to 5 hours. And then later tonight when we come home, we'll finish it off. And hopefully this isn't a waste of a bunch of ingredients and it isn't gross because I'll still have to eat it. So I'm sure it'll be delicious. I mean, the liquid's tasty. Here we go. Yeah, so I had originally planned on eating my sandwich with that salad and some pretzels. I don't think that the pretzels are gonna happen. So I'll have them on standby for a snack if I need them. But if you've never tried these kindling protein pretzels, I get them on Amazon. I do them on Subscribe and Save. I just get them like once every couple of months. So I get like an extra 10 or 15% off per bag, and they're pre-portioned, which I like. 120 calories with 9 grams of protein and 3 grams of fiber. They come in a multi-pack. They have sea salt, garlic parmesan, which are probably my favorite, honey mustard, which are my other favorite, and then dill pickle, which are actually pretty good. If you're a big dill pickle fan, you'll like them. If you're not a big dill pickle fan, I think there's only 3 of them in the package that are dill pickles. So yeah, very, very good. Totally worth it. I'll put a link in the places. This is just a very simple chicken sandwich. It's rotisserie chicken. I put a little bit of avocado because if you didn't know, avocado actually has a decent amount of fiber. I also put a slice of Munster cheese and a smear of the Laughing Cow cheese, which I use instead of mayonnaise just to moisten up the sandwich, some tomato and red onion. And then of course I have my tomato and cucumber salad, and we're gonna give that a taste and see how it is. Oh yeah, a balsamic glaze is definitely necessary. It still needs a little more salt, but that is very refreshing and delicious and yummy and happy in my mouth because of all of the salt and everything. It did give quite a bit of liquid off. I just left all the liquid that had drained in the bottom of the dish. I suppose you could put the balsamic vinegar in there to begin with, the glaze, but I just like it on top. It's delicious. I'm gonna eat this and then head to work, and I'll see you guys later for dinner. Okay, I just got home from work. Nikki's on her way here and I'm ready to eat. Oh, that looks interesting. Oh, she creamy. Scared me for a second when I first opened it. Ooh, it's nice. I'm gonna add in some spinach because I had the better part of a bag in my fridge from something else I used. So I'm just gonna stir that in and let the residual heat do its thing. I'm gonna add in some lemon juice for freshness and a little bit of acidity. Lovely. about a cup to a cup and a half of Italian blend cheese. I prefer shredding cheese myself, but I have it in my fridge and I'm trying to get rid of it. So here we are. Yeah, that spinach is already starting to do things. Ooh, look at that cheese getting all melty. I'm gonna taste it for seasoning. Yep, that's tasty. Oh, that farro is very overcooked. But you know what? It's delicious and I don't care. Oh, that lemon juice is a must. Sprinkle a little more cheese on top, put on the lid. Ooh, we almost put all of the cheese in there, and let this hang out for the next 10-ish minutes or so, just to let that spinach fish let the spinach finish cooking. I'll see you in a minute. Nikki's here, but she doesn't like you guys, so she doesn't want to be on camera. Just kidding.
My plate's already halfway done.
So, it's cheesy. Oh, the sausages are super tasty. I like those a lot. I wish the farro had more texture. It is overcooked, it's a little mushy. But if you're a fan of mush, and I am kind of a fan of mush, it's delicious. It would be way better if you baked it, like the recipe intended. I just was not about the life of not eating until 7 o'clock. The farro only takes about 10 minutes to cook. So like you could cook everything else in the crock pot, cook the farro in the pot when you get home for 10 minutes, and then throw that in and just stir it all around. But then you wouldn't need all that liquid. Very tasty. You don't even taste the spinach.
No, thank you, puppy.
Oh,
No.
So much drool.
No, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'll see you guys later for dessert. Okay, bye. Hello, friends. It's now Wednesday. After dinner last night, I was talking with Nikki and there was just too much going on for me to record dessert. So we're gonna do it tonight together. It'll be great. We're doing a Snickers apple salad. This is one of those, sometimes you gotta eat a whole apple situations, you know what I'm talking about. And it's kind of like a Snickers take on that. So I'm gonna be doing my own take because they use just straight up peanut butter, which is very calorie heavy, not a lot of protein. So I have my own peanut butter dip. This is a recipe that I've been working on for quite some time and I have finally gotten it just right. I will have the recipe down in the comments if you just want to write it down. But if you're somebody that likes like a printed one that you want to put in your recipe book, I do have printables on my Buy Me a Coffee page. If you're a member, you get them for free. So if you're somebody that wants to support my content and you would like a printout of this recipe, feel free to do so. Let's throw this together really quickly. Can't have an apple salad without an apple. This is an entire Honeycrisp apple. You can cut them up however you want. I am going to need my scale. If you don't have a scale, it is a minimal investment and it will make your life so much easier. It also makes your cooking more accurate because you know that you're doing the same thing every time. We're gonna start with a tablespoon of peanut butter, which is 16 grams. Using the displacement method, I just put the jar of peanut butter on here, and when it reads -16, that means I have 16 grams of peanut butter. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna melt it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Next, we're gonna use a powdered peanut butter, peanut flour, however you wanna call it. My favorite one is PBFit. And we're gonna use 17 grams, which is right around 2 tablespoons, I think. So you can see after 30 seconds in the microwave, it's all loosey-goosey. I'm gonna pour in my peanut butter powder, and then we're gonna start adding water a little bit at a time and stirring this up until it's the consistency that we want. Basically like regular peanut butter. We're just giving our peanut butter more volume. You can do all PBFit here, but the flavor is just not the same. It needs a little bit of the regular peanut butter to make it fatty enough and just unctuous enough and delicious. So that was probably about a tablespoon of water to start. I'm just gonna stir it up. That's not gonna be enough. You can see how crumbly that is. That's not it yet. So you can always add more. You can't take it away. Only way to rescue it once you've gone too far is to add more PBFit, which, I mean, isn't the end of the world, but this already makes quite a lot. So this is still too thick. I'm gonna add a couple more splashes. I think that's probably gonna be about right here. I think it needs still just a tiny bit more. Like you can see, it's almost like a Play-Doh consistency right now. Like it comes off of the spoon, and that's probably okay, but I'm gonna do just a tiny bit more. Okay, before I forget, I'm gonna add just a dash of salt, like a pinch. So this is the consistency I'm after right here, but the peanut butter and the PBFit. And then we're gonna add in some vanilla Greek yogurt. We need 45 grams of it. And then you're just gonna whip that together until it is nice and smooth and you don't have any streaks of peanut butter that aren't incorporated. And then you could stop here, but it is a million times better when you add 5 grams of protein powder, chocolate protein powder. I've tried peanut butter protein powder. It's better with chocolate. I don't know why, it just is. About a tablespoon. And we're just gonna swirl that up. So that's our peanut butter mixture. It needs a little bit more salt. So now we have our apples. And you could just eat it like this, but we're gonna kick it up a notch and coating all of the apples. Trying not to make a mess. Good enough, I think. So to make this a Snickers, we're just gonna drizzle a little bit of caramel. You could definitely do the skinny caramel, whatever. This was probably about a tablespoon, which is like 50 calories of this stuff. You know what would be really good is if you did cajeta instead of this, or dulce de leche, but more calorie heavy. Then you could do chocolate chips. I'm gonna do this magic shell stuff. And then lastly, but not leastly, are some chopped nuts. The obvious choice would be peanuts, but I have these honey roasted cashews from Aldi that I'm obsessed with. And so that's what we're gonna use. And there is my Snickers apple salad of deliciousness. Let's give it a taste. Let's give this Snickers apple salad a taste, shall we? And when the bite with a little bit of everything, especially the nuts. Yum. It's peanutty, it's cashewy, it's chocolatey, it's caramelly, it's appley. It feels like a major dessert. You could easily cut this in half. I'll eat what sounds good to me and then I'll stop. I hope you guys enjoyed all of these recipes. If you did, please give them a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any new recipes that I post to my channel. Be sure to stay tuned for Friday's weigh-in vlog and check out my recipe cards on my Buy Me a Coffee page if you're interested. Thanks so much, guys. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
I've been climbing this hill so long, every step feels like a fight. Sweat drips down, but I'm still here, chasing shadows in the light.